Yeah. Good morning. Actually, it's afternoon. Boy, I got a fat lower chin. But anyways, there's a lot of problems that I've been thinking about. I watched that Facebook mentions with Alex Jones. It was an hour long, more than an hour long. Alex Jones mentions video. And what I've discovered is that some of the things that I've known for a very long time are now starting to come into the forefront. One of the things I've heard Alex Jones mention, he's probably mentioned it a whole bunch of times, but I never really heard it in the mainstream. You don't hear this talked about in the mainstream. Is the military being the most awakened to some of the things that are going on, and I've known this for a long time because Alex Jones, he's a guy that's been on the underground, but I've known this because I've traveled to areas of the country where military is very prevalent. Like in Georgia, I've been to Fort Benning in Georgia. I've been to right outside Fort Walton Base, Air Force Base in Florida. Stayed with when I was in my days of traveling with bands. I stayed with military families. In Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. That's where the military is really, really a big part of what's going on. This was right before the 2000 election. And I remember just having conversations with them, just them talking about, our national defense was not being prioritized, and that, our military is being strung out too much and going to places where we shouldn't be. Like, we're still based in Germany. Like, why do we have a base in Germany? Meanwhile, places that are tinderboxes in the Middle East, they're building up, they don't have the infrastructure our military has. But what they have is a deep hatred. A deep hatred towards us. I'm talking about the Islamic extremists. These people have. You go back to '93 when they attempted to knock down the Twin Towers, with that one truck under in the parking garage or wherever it was underneath the Twin Towers. They tried knocking down the Twin Towers in '93, and they failed, but then they succeeded in 2001. Well, like I said, I was in all these places talking about, they were like, I'm telling you, these families, these military families, they were afraid of something big going to happen. And it happened. And I'll never forget when it happened. I remember my feeling was, wow, it happened. Whatever they were talking about happened. That was my feeling. I was like, I wasn't really shocked. Because I remember talking to these people, talking to military people about how serious the situation is getting. And how our government, they weren't doing what needs to be done with our national defense. And, you got the conspiracy theorists who, basically want to say all this stuff that's, all these conspiracy theories about the truth movement and all this. Listen, I've read articles and listened to some very smart people. There's like 1,500 architects or engineers that say, hey, what the government is claiming that happened to Building 7, for example, this has been talked about over and over and over, but it's not really been talked about in the mainstream, because the mainstream rejects it all about the fact that it could be an inside job. I don't think it was an inside job, but I think there were powerful people who let it happen. That's what I think. That's my view, and I know that that'll probably put me on some terrorist watch list or Patriot Act. I'm breaking the Patriot Act or whatever. TSA now will it's all about control, and the only thing that we can do to stop it is vote these people out. But Alex Jones is a big, and so is Michael Savage, and I think Rush Limbaugh's on the fence, but a lot of the real big talk show hosts are Trump guys, which because he's anti-establishment, basically because look, everyone hates him, so he must be good. That's the argument. Like, that doesn't jive with me. Just because everyone hates you doesn't mean you're good. The system is broken. There's no question. There's problems all over the place, and the world is just, you don't want to even think about what could happen. Because look, like I said, when I stayed with these military families, I knew they were aware of something that was going to happen. I didn't know what, but I knew they were aware of something. And I think about the time, the other thing that Alex Jones kind of glossed over was stuff that I've always known, was like, talking about, the complete socialistic control, mind control that exists at colleges and universities. Here's the thing about you have to have had to go to a large university, state university in particular, but even private universities, if they're big enough, they're kind of the same thing. They're all the same when it comes to trying to control people, control the minds of 18 to 22-year-olds, essentially. Really 18 and 19-year-olds, because you take your big, large lecture hall classes your freshman year. And, I took several of those. I took, political science course. I took a computer science course. I had to take was a big lecture hall course, but it was weird because it should have been in a smaller classroom because there was many more seats than there were students. But whatever, that's where they had the course. But the political science course and some of the other earth science courses I took, a lot more in the big lecture halls, and that's where the professor basically he's not a teacher. There's a reason they're called professors, because basically the word professor means to basically dictate. They're basically dictators. So that's why as someone who went to a major university, I'm very much aware of the mind control that exists, and why a lot of college students eat it up because they think they have to. in order to be successful in life. This is what I have to do to get my degree and then get the 50, 60, 70,000 a year job, once I'm done. Once I get that piece of paper. Yeah, you hear a lot of, I knew a lot of people, I'm just here to get my piece of paper. I'm like, well, I understand, a lot of people, have problems with college, if you haven't gone. And I understand, when I was there, people, I feel like I'm a number. I'm just a number. Well, yeah, to them you are. That's the dirty little secret. And, that's what they train you to be. Basically, bow to the system. That's what college is for. And so, the only reason I went to school, you want to know the truth? Because I didn't really want to go to college. I wanted to be a rock star. I wanted to play in a band. I didn't really want to go to college. I felt I had to go because my grandparents basically paid my way through. And that's why I chose a university that was close enough to where I can still come home on the weekends, but be far enough away so if I'm going to go to college, I might as well, go to a school where I can be on my own, so to speak, since it was paid for. I didn't want to go too far, but I didn't want to be too close either. So I could have gone to UIC or Wheaton College or some local school, but I chose NIU because I knew I didn't have to stay at home with my parents. I don't know, but honestly, if I could do it all over again, I wouldn't have gone. I would have just pursued a career in music, playing a band. Honestly, especially now knowing what I know, because colleges and universities aren't for people who are trying to do what they really want to do. If they were, they wouldn't charge $10,000, $15,000 a year tuition. They charge so much money, and you think you're getting a great education, but you're only getting what one or a handful of eggheads want you to learn. That's all you're getting when you go to college. You're not getting a full education. You're not. You all you're getting is a piece of paper and a pile of debt. That's all you get after you're done with school. Now, in my case, all I got was a piece of paper. It took me a while to get through because I like I said, I wanted to be in a band. I did not want to be in school. I felt like I was forced to do what they wanted me to do instead of me doing what I wanted to do when I was there. I have nothing against the university. In fact, I have a I don't want to say deep love but I have some because I went to football games, I went to basketball games, and I did have good times in school. But the classes, fix the fucking program. Excuse my language. The curriculums. It's all colleges. They all teach Darwinism. They all teach a form of paganism. They all teach a form of Satanism, really. They don't teach, if you're a Christian, your view, they're so damn arrogant there. And they don't get the point of view of a Christian, which is fine, which is basically what we learn as Christians. But don't pretend to be like this great beacon of diversity when you're not. Because if you are a Christian, you have to... the only time you can really talk about your point of view on college campus, they give you like a little circle in the middle of the campus, and then they give you, a couple of rooms, somewhere. But you can't talk about your faith openly the way you can talk. Darwinism. You can talk about Darwinism. You can talk the LGBT. You can put posters all over the place for the LGBT. If you put anything in an editorial, I knew a guy who wrote a editorial letter to the editor about how he believed homosexuality was not natural, and he got bashed for thinking that. Like, how dare you say something like that? Even though there's nothing scientific that says homosexuality is natural, is genetic. And you know what? Even if it is genetic, you know what that means? All it means is that previous ancestors engaged in the behavior and passed it down genetically. That's how it happened. That's how it can be explained scientifically and still the Bible be correct. And then you got liberal Christians running around now trying to say that Jesus changes laws. It's like, no. Jesus fulfilled the law. And then they say, well, then all the food laws, you can't eat pork then either. No, you dummy. Peter had a dream that said, basically God said, you can eat anything. Clean or unclean. Doesn't matter. Not talking about you can screw anyone. Idiot. So anyways, like I said, these topics of discussion are becoming more in the forefront. First of all, those who are awakened, we've always known who are truly awakened. I mean, I've always known, at least since basically the fall of 2000, basically since I was right before I was 25, while I still didn't have my degree, and I've always known who wasn't awakened. Basically, people who are served the new NWO bullcrap. I mean, how can you go through life, watching TV and reading, postmodern materials and say, oh yeah, this is all the truth, and everything that was written 2,000 years ago is bullcrap. How do you go through life like that? Rush Limbaugh talks about these are people who believe that the world started when they were born. Yeah, I mean, maybe some people think like that, but come on. Everybody I've talked to who basically believes the Bible is bunk knows that the world's been around for millions of years, billions of years. I mean, humans have been around for hundreds of thousands of years. And this is not me being a Darwinist. I believe in intelligent design, asshole. But anyways, I mean, we know who's up and who's down when it comes to this stuff. Of course the military is going to be most awake. Because you know why? Because they travel the most. They go around the world. They see everything. And of course, pseudo-intellectuals at universities are going to be the least educated, because the definition of a pseudo-intellectual is someone who thinks that a professor or someone at a university can understand everything. When we know is only God can understand all points of view, asshole. You know, the only person that could... People who don't understand pseudo-intellectualism and pseudo-intellectualism, these are the people that are lost. You know, if you honestly think that a human being is capable of understanding all points of view, you are lost. These are the people that believe centralized government is the way to do things. That's how we can get the right infrastructure. That's how we can get the right, health care. That's how we can get the right education. We have to centralize everything. You are an idiot who think that. You are a fucking idiot if you think that everything that is centralized is how you can is how to get everything right. That's what the New World Order wants to do. They want to centralize everything, you idiot. That's why we're the Federal Reserve is screwing with our money, which is why, we had the housing bubble. Okay? And now healthcare costs are out of control for the same exact reason. And then military spending. I'm not here to be an advocate for the military. But military spending is out of control for the same reason, because I support our military as our national defense, but I don't support them having to go to every goddamn corner of the world to, quote unquote, preserve liberty. No. That's not what I support. Because that's how we get a $21 trillion debt. And then, you could talk about, the diversions, the monetary diversions that, actually were our actual monetary liability. The debt liabilities in the quadrillions. Really, it's an absurd number that I can't even fathom. It can never be paid off. Never. Never, ever. So, I'm going to be making more of these videos. I don't know who's going to see them. And I'm going to cuss at times. Because it's getting stupid. And like I said, I've known these things for decades. Things that are starting to come to the forefront. That video that shows, the Trump supporters getting shouted down and all the racist bullshit that the racism that exists in this country is reversed to what it used to be. A white man would be a racist to a black man, and and the black man would have no power. That's reversed, and that's been reversing for the last pretty much since I've been alive. The Black Lives Matter movement really started with Bill Clinton when he started the whole midnight basketball nonsense. That's that stuff. Because it prioritizes in the government. You have to understand, the state prioritizes the black man because they want to say, well, for hundreds of years blacks have been enslaved. Yeah, but Alex Jones pointed out something that has been known forever. Who ended slavery? Was it the Latinos in South America? Was it the tribes in Africa? I mean, you have to understand the slave trade movement. There had to be buyers, but there also had to be sellers. Hello? Hello? Anyone? Who sold them? Was it the whites that were selling the slaves in Africa? Anyone? Anyone? Do a little research on that. You might be surprised that not all black people were enslaved. Some of them were paid, and it took a civil war and some good people in Europe to end slavery. That's what happened. The West ended slavery. It didn't start it. It ended it. And, today, white people are becoming slaves. You know how? Because how the economy is through. It's how they're being educated. And you got immigration. You got people coming into this country who are basically coming here to get a better life. But you know what they're doing? They're driving down wages because they're willing to work for less money. Well, someone like myself who started earning like $37,000 to $40,000 a year out of college has to now earn less money because I'm not going to get hired. Someone else can take my job for $20,000 to $25,000. Who do you think they're going to hire? Who do you think is going to get hired? Someone like myself who's expecting to get paid $37,000 to $40,000, or at least in reality I should be getting like $45,000 to $50,000 a year, or someone who's willing to take $25,000 to $30,000 a year. Who do you think? Who do you think is going to get hired? Tell me. Especially since now I'm north of 40. I mean, I'm 40 years old on the dot. But, in less than 8 months from now, I'll be 41. Those numbers don't get smaller. It gets tougher as you get older to find a job. And so, that's how it's reversing. Because now people, who are willing to take a job for less money, and people from outside the country, they say they might not have as much skills, but they can learn. Like what kind of jobs are we talking about? Well, I worked as a equipment technician for the Illinois Department of Transportation out of college. It was my first real job out of school. And basically, there were people who were claiming to be electrical engineers taking jobs in the same department, same building that I worked in, who weren't electrical engineers. They were electrical engineering technicians like myself. But that's all it takes. You can lie on your resume. If you're a minority, they're not going to question it. Why? Well, they're a minority. Why would they? Give them a break. That's how they're getting the jobs. And they get paid less money. So anyways, that's, I don't know if this video, like I said, I'm putting this in the comments. I'm going to post this on the comment. You'll see it. I'm working on my website, theendsotheearth.com. That's where I'm going to post a lot of these videos, and I'm gonna have to, I might have to quit my job ultimately. maybe, or I might end up getting fired. I don't know. I mean, I do food delivery. I'm a dispatcher right now, but I'm part-time, I mean, like I said, job market sucks. It sucked since I got out of school, which was about 6 months after 9/11 happened. So, go figure. So if there's anyone on this planet that deserves to be pissed off at the world, I think it's me. There's no question about that. So I might have to keep putting videos up like this just to because it is therapeutic. It does make me feel better. So I have a lot on my mind. 9/11 happened 15 years ago. We're approaching that date. I think that's when I want to launch the website. September 11th, 2016, the 15th anniversary of 9/11. I got other things to say. I could say a ton more. I could ramble on. That's why I think this is probably the best way for me to get my point out there. I mean, I won't do any live videos because I don't want to see. I don't want people commenting. I'm just one person. See, Alex Jones has he has his cousin. He has a whole big studio. I just have my tablet here, and the grainy footage. I don't care. You want to watch this? You don't like how it looks? Don't turn it off. I'm not making people watch this. This is more for people who may agree with me. May understand, why it's just been really hard. If you're my age, if you're a single white male at the age of 40, I think you probably understand how tough it is. But if you're not, if you're married with kids, you probably don't because you got so much other stuff to deal with. I mean, obviously, I feel for people who have kids and are struggling. It's got to be tough. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, from an emotional standpoint, you have your family, But when you're single and you live by yourself, these things don't go away. I mean, these thoughts that you have, they permeate. They just don't leave. And people keep asking me, so you're gonna get married and have kids? I'm like, do you read the newspaper? I mean, do you watch any news whatsoever? I mean, bad things have been happening forever and ever, but not when you couple it with the truth, because the truth is the media is in on it. They're in on controlling people. Well, I mean, if you question, 9/11 as a possible inside job, I mean, you can't even question that. Oh, we did all the background stuff and blah blah. Did you? Did you know that Bush's brother was head of security at the World Trade Center? I didn't find that out until I started watching some of these videos from We Are Change and from InfoWars. That's when I first discovered how it could have been, I believe it was an attack from Saudi Arabia, basically. They financed it all. I think our government, not our government as a whole, but I think there were powerful people who were aware. I don't know about Bush himself. They say his brother was security. Yeah, but that doesn't mean he would know some of this stuff. He might have been placed in power to just be a puppet, period. And that's some alliteration I didn't mean to put in there. Maybe I'll put that in a song. That's another thing I want to talk about. When I do the nzeroth.com, that's where I'll be launching music. My own music. I don't really play music as much as I used to. But, the songs that come to me, that Devil in the Details was a song that came to me when I was studying on the Patriot Act. And saw so much. I didn't read the Patriot Act, but I watched a lot of information. I looked at a lot of excerpts from it, and I was like, whoa, this is almost like, because, it's called the Patriot Act, but it's all about controlling people, which is opposite of what the Founding Fathers were about. Founding Fathers were about giving people more liberty, not taking liberty away. And so, that's how the Devil in the Details kind of started in my head. Devil in the Details I heard long ago. I now know the meaning, information overload. You know what I mean? It's just all about concentrating information to one source, and it's going to blow up at some point, and it kind of has. It kind of did, and then, The Ends of the Earth, Missy, the concept of the album was really about just finding answers. Not finding the answer, which I think some people, they misunderstand the song Missing Piece. It's not about finding the one piece of the puzzle that will restore humanity. It's about the idea of thinking that that one little piece is all we need to restore humanity. No. One little piece can restore one aspect, one problem. But then that problem becomes a piece of a larger puzzle, which becomes a piece of a larger puzzle, and on and on and on. That's really what that song's supposed to be about, but I don't think people got it. Prodigal Son is basically taking the parable of Prodigal Son, and Jesus was very specific, but I was being more general. I was like, the United States of America has become the Prodigal Son. That's why when, in the video you see Prodigal Son, what city do I show? Las Vegas, because Las Vegas is Sin City, and it represents kind of, I know a lot of people who want to go to Vegas. Let's go to Vegas. I want to go to Vegas. Yeah, you keep hearing that a lot. I've been to Vegas. I've seen the underbelly of Vegas. It's not pretty. And you get mixed. I'm not a perfect person. It's easy to get mixed up in some of that stuff. And so that song is really about America losing its identity. That's really what it's about. From on the world stage, America was a city of a nation of freedom, liberty. Not anymore. Basically in the 20th century, America. In the 19th century, yeah, but particularly the late 19th century. But then in the 20th century, really pretty much starting with World War I, from that point, basically when the Federal Reserve was created and and the IRS was created. That was the beginning of the end of America, from the founding fathers' point of view, anyways, and from just overall what it's supposed to be. So, anyways, that's it, and I will see you again in the future. TheEndsOfTheEarth.com will exist. I'm working on it.